Hi, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about driving while autistic. The fact that I can drive at all is a fucking miracle. A little background for you. I flunked driver's ed because the simulators and the actual driving both just freaked me out. There was too much going on and I was scared to death. So I kind of just didn't go. I would have really benefited from occupational therapy. I would have benefited from being in a slower class where I just dealt with one small thing at a time, like, the first day all we do is turn on the car, that kind of thing. I did get my license at 16, just like, normal people, but I drove as little as possible. As my alcoholism progressed, I became more and more fearful about everything, and that included driving. And by the time I got sober, I couldn't even start the car, much less drive it. I really didn't start driving for real until I was taking care of my terminally ill mother, so I got somewhat comfortable with driving. And then we moved to Boston. And Boston traffic is a whole nother animal. I drove exactly once while I was living in Boston, and that was because I accidentally poked my husband's eye out, and he couldn't drive to the hospital, so I had to drive, and I was scared to death. And I have to admit, I didn't say it, but, in my mind I was thinking, isn't there a way you can just drive with one eye closed? But obviously that was not an option. So I got him to the hospital, I got him home, but that's the only time I drove while I was in Boston. Anyway, it wasn't until I turned about 40 that I really drove enough to start to feel comfortable. And now I can drive pretty comfortably and pretty confidently most of the time. It's a freedom that I really, really treasure. I did not like having to depend on people for rides. I can even drive on the freeway, on the interstate, during rush hour in Atlanta, which is pretty amazing. I don't like to do it, but I can do it. And I'm not scared, but there's a lot going on that road. And there are a lot of very impatient people. If I don't have to, I'm gonna skip it. I have a good driving record, and I would like to keep it that way. So there are two aspects of autism that create challenges for me. One of them is issues with executive function. There's so much going on when you're driving. I can't keep track of more than the minimum amount. The second is problems with proprioception, which is basically where is my body in comparison to my surroundings, and that goes with the car as well. So I have trouble telling where the side of the car is. I also have trouble telling the distance of an oncoming car. So I'm the person in front of you who's going to wait until I'm absolutely sure it's safe. So how do I manage the challenges with driving? I have a 3-part rule about driving in general, and that is number 1, stay alert, number 2, follow the law, and number 3, don't take any stupid chances. That sort of sums it all up. Before I retired, I was constantly exhausted. So many times I've pulled off the road to sleep for 20 minutes or so, and I make sure that I get enough sleep to drive. I have a car with automatic transmission. That's just one less thing I have to worry about. I try to avoid any situation that will draw my attention away from the road in front of me. So if we're going somewhere together, I don't want to follow you. And I don't want to be followed, because that means I have to keep track of you. And I can't do that while I'm watching the road. If we're in the car together, it's better that you drive. I also keep driving as simple as possible. So, for example, I never multitask. We're just gonna have to get the cat in here because she's driving me crazy. Come here. Pardon me. Look at the camera. There she is. Okay, this is Jasmine. I'm going to attempt to finish this video with the cat because she's not going to shut up. And she wants to be loved on, and I'm happy to do that. So I don't multitask. I find it extremely helpful to have a podcast or music going on, something that really engages me. That is going to change from person to, all of this will change from person to person, but that in particular, there are some people who would find music or podcasts too distracting. For me, for some reason, it helps me focus. And I'm lucky enough to have a newer car that has some safety features. For example, I have lane assist. It will tell me if I'm going too far left or right. If I put on cruise control, it will automatically slow down if there's somebody in front of me. I have a rear view camera. So one more safety tool that I have on my car is one that's less than $5, at least when I got it. And those are extra mirrors for your side view. They're wide angle. And what it means is that I can see my blind spot on either side. I have one on the driver's side and one on the passenger side. I drove without these things for a long time, but it definitely makes me feel safer to have these added features. I don't change lanes very much. If there's a middle lane, that's what I choose, and that's because there's the least amount of distractions and the least amount of hazards. Because, for example, there are no entrance ramps in the middle lane. I do move over if I'm in a lane and somebody wants to pass me, if I can do it safely. So I'm trying not to drive all of you crazy, but I'm going to err on the side of caution. What gear am I in? Fuck. Okay. I much prefer to drive alone. I actually love driving alone. If there's somebody else in the car with me, that is a distraction that's going to take my attention off the road. Now, every once in a while, there's a day when I have no business behind the wheel. I can usually tell because I make a mistake or two when I think I'm concentrating. I'm usually distracted or just came out of an uncomfortable situation. I'll make a turn and forget to look or something like that. And when that happens, I think, okay, this is a day I should not be driving. The problem is it always hits me when I'm on my way home. So there's not a lot I can do about it except stop and breathe and just get my ass home as quickly and safely as possible and not drive again for the rest of the day. And so that's what I do. So, one final tip. Don't let the people behind you or around you boss you around. You're responsible for your own driving. They're not the ones who are going to get a ticket if you speed. You wait until you're ready to turn. You try not to drive people crazy, but if they're going crazy, that's on them. Take your time. Make good decisions, stay alert, follow the rules, don't take any stupid chances no matter what the guy behind you is trying to get you to do. So, those are my challenges with driving, and those are some of the tools that I use to stay safe and to keep you safe. So, can autistics learn to drive? Many can, absolutely. But it helps a lot to have support and patience, and to understand the challenges. If you're autistic and you're having trouble driving, there's nothing wrong with you. If you have challenges driving or staying safe behind the wheel, what tips have worked for you? I would love to hear your comments and tips and suggestions for other videos. If you have any questions or whatever, feel free to put them down below, hit all the buttons and things. And thank you for watching. I will see you next time. My cat Jasmine is now very happy.